Hi there, good noon, and I welcome you to BYJU'S exam prep channel that is dedicated to your success as a B School aspirant. My name is Vikrant. I am your personal coach for all things English and communication skills. And today, as you can see, we are going to focus on para completions. And this session is a session that is going to target all the B School exams. But I am cognizant of the fact that a lot of you are at this juncture writing the B School exams that are ahead of us. So we're talking about CMAT, we're talking about Maharashtra CET, CUET. Some of you are also appearing for MAT. So my focus is going to be a little less on the CAT and a little more on the OMATs, but thankfully the concepts are basically more or less identical, and therefore whichever exam that you are preparing for, I am sure this is a session that you will find fairly useful. And before I take you through the actual topic, I very firmly believe that the mental aspects of the preparation are easily the most important aspects and also the most overlooked aspects. So I don't want you to miss out on those things, so I keep giving these reminders to you. Procrastination. A lot of us do that, and that unnecessarily can make things appear difficult when it should not be the case. So look back, all those things that you term challenging today, just see, is it because they have been put off for way too long? So within the preparation part, if English is one of those areas that you find challenging, you need to go ahead and check, hey, do I read enough? Do I practice enough RCs? Have I been devoting time to vocabulary and grammar? If not, then that is where these problems are actually coming from. So the moment you start taking those concrete actions, that is the moment when you start fixing all of these things, fixing all of these issues for yourself. Okay, so let's go ahead and let's get started, shall we? Hi Teju, Madhuparna, how are you doing? So if you have any question, any concern, you can write it in the chat and I'll address it straight away. In case you want to sit down with one of us or over a one-on-one conversation discussing your preparation strategy and BYJU'S and how BYJU'S can pitch in, just click on the link for a CAT counseling form. It should be a pinned comment in the chat. I'll also request my team members to float the link in the chat once again. And that basically means that one of us will essentially pencil you in on our calendar, and then we'd sit down and discuss your preparation, your approach, your strategies, right? So with that, let's dive into our topic of the day, and that is para completion. So what exactly is para completion? Now, this is an old question type. It has been appearing in various B School exams for close to 2 decades now, some 16-17 years actually. And there have been various avatars of para completion questions. Okay, the most recent avatar, the most recent variety was introduced by CAT in the year 22. So if I talk about para completion, the kinds that appeared in CAT 22 and they carried forward with that in CAT 23, then this is what we got. So a para completion question gave us a sentence. Now this sentence was followed by a paragraph. And within that paragraph, there were 4 different blanks at obviously 4 different places. Our job was to figure out the most suitable blank for that sentence. And in case you have worked with me earlier, then you know that I call this sentence the lost sentence. And apni jagah se bhatka hua hai. And we are supposed to figure out the most appropriate blank for that sentence. Absolutely, Teju, yes. In fact, that is what I started off by saying, that in this session, my focus will be less on the CAT, more on the other entrance exams which are upcoming right now. For obvious reasons, you are focusing on those. So that is how CAT has been asking this question for the last couple of years. But if I talk about the other management entrance tests, in short, OMATs, they would typically give you a paragraph with a blank. That blank can be at the beginning, in the middle, at the end, mostly at the end. It is followed by 4 sentences or 5 sentences depending upon which entrance exam you are appearing for, right? So if you're appearing for, say, an NMAT or a Maharashtra CET, you typically see 5 options. In the other exams, you typically get 4 options, and our job is to figure out the best sentence for that blank. So you notice how it flips itself. In the CAT, we are looking for best blank for the sentence. In the other management entrance tests, we are looking for the best sentence for that blank. But frankly speaking, the concepts, the variety, the approach does not change much. So in either case, your approach should be that you start off by reading the paragraph. So read the entire paragraph and identify the subject. Okay, or in other words, identify the topic or the theme of that paragraph and what it goes ahead and talks about. I also want you to summarize that paragraph in your own words. Now this approach this approach itself helps you eliminate quite a few of the answer choices, and in some cases it may actually straight away lead to the right answer choices. So practice this and then we'll see. So that's one. After that, I want you to look at the flow of ideas. Okay, so in a typical paragraph, you have a topic sentence. It is not necessary for every paragraph to have it, but majority of the paragraphs do have it. And then there are some supporting points. Okay, or as we say, supporting details. So you may have, one supporting detail, second supporting detail, third supporting detail. Along with every supporting detail, you may get some sort of elaboration. Okay, some more specific data points, an example, whatever. So that is how a paragraph is typically constructed. So look at the supporting detail and check how it develops. There is a flow of ideas there when you go from general to specific, when you go from one supporting detail to others. So a para completion question, by bringing in a blank, breaks that flow, breaks that development, and in order to make that development smooth once again, you need to insert a sentence. Okay, so as a result, I'd say break down that paragraph into a series of ideas, and that flow of ideas would become the key for us in answering that question. And thereafter, we typically, of course, go ahead and use the elimination approach to arrive at the right answer. And in order to eliminate, you use more or less the same clues that you go ahead and use in Parajumbles. In case you have not attended those classes, in every sentence you get, or you can get, a word-based or an idea-based clue. So it is that development of the ideas or that utility of the word-based clues that can help us rule out options and arrive at the answer faster. So the very first question that I'm taking you through is the CAT kind of question, but the rest of the questions are not going to be CAT kinds. They are going to be more oriented towards your upcoming exams. So here is your question 1. So you notice you have a lost sentence, and then of course there is a paragraph with 4 blanks. You need to figure out the most appropriate blank for this lost sentence. So go ahead, solve it and share your answer in the chat with me quickly. Okay, so Shivani has shared her answer. How about the rest of us? So first up, what is this paragraph talking about? It is talking about development of a particular corridor which will be suitable for electric vehicles. Now when I start reading it, India's first highway corridors with charging stations for electric vehicles are expected to come up along the Delhi-Jaipur and Delhi-Agra highways by 2020, an official said. Then there is a blank and then says 18 charging stations will be set up near toll plazas on the two routes. Which two routes? Delhi Jaipur and Delhi Agra highways? No, because we are talking about corridors that are coming up along these two routes. So if you want to justify the two routes, you need to introduce something more concrete about those two routes. And those two routes, besides, if you look at the first sentence, it just uses a plural, corridors. It does not tell you that there are two of those. However, if I insert the lost sentence here, so you notice combined stretch of the corridors on the Yamuna Expressway and the National Highway will be 500 kilometers. That makes it a little more concrete. So this is something that can help us justify the two routes. Then second blank, the sentence immediately after that does not have any such requirement. And then third, obviously third cannot be it because SR and SR, there is a continuity here, so you would not want to put it in. So I'd say third was easy to rule out. Now in reality, even if you don't introduce the lost sentence, the paragraph can still make sense. But if you are looking for the best place, it has to be location 1 because we needed a justification for the two routes. And that's why our answer to this particular question should be 1. I'd say 3 and 4 were easy to rule out. First and second was essentially the key, and the two routes tilts us towards 1. So that's what you expect in the CAT. The rest of the questions are going to be targeting the OBATs, okay, the rest of the upcoming exams. So here is your question number 2, where you have a blank in the middle. And you need to pick up the best sentence for this blank. Go ahead, give this a shot and tell me what you think. Okay, so Asmita is the first one to share the answer. Now I notice the blank, and then there is this pronoun. You notice them. Now them is a plural pronoun, and therefore you need to have some plural noun coming before. And so far, right before the blank, we have only one person. So the them cannot be justified yet. So I am looking for a sentence that brings in more than one nosy neighbor. And that is done by option D. Notice Telford, Eileen. Now the other sentence that brings in that plurality is A, but then we have no reference for she. B can bring in both of these individuals, but then it does not help us justify that they are nosy, and C does not even bring in that plurality, so can be ruled out. That is why D goes on to become our best answer choice for question number 2. And with that, let me give you your next question. Here it is on your screen. Go ahead, give it a shot. Don't forget to read the entire paragraph first. Okay, where are the answers, guys? So if I were to go ahead and look at this particular paragraph, it is focused on the reasons behind the success of Netflix and the failure of Blockbuster. Now the last sentence in fact gives us a hint that the reason revolves around the strategies adopted by both the firms. Right? It starts with specifically. So you somehow, that specifically gives you a clue that you need to talk about strategy. Now if you look at option A, it does not match with the sentence that is following up after the blank. The use of specifically will not be justified. Whereas if I look at C and D, they are not even talking about strategies, and that leaves you with only one option, and that is option B, which I think two of you have definitely, Asmita and Madhuparna, have definitely rightfully identified as your answer. And with that, let's dive into our next question. Here it is on your screen. Question number 4. Tell me what you think. This should be easy because there is a very strong word-based clue available. So each one of these options starts with "in other words." So in other words tells you that we are going for a restatement of what has been stated earlier. So जो idea पहले दिया गया, the idea that has been mentioned earlier, is the idea that we need to now capture. So what do you think? Which one of these gives you that same idea? साथ में थोड़ा थोड़ा you would also, for example, when I look at option B, wrong grammar. Okay, that's the difference between A and B, and because B has wrong grammar, you can anyway rule out B. Then sensory versus sensible. We're talking about sensory experiences, not sensible experiences. And then you need this with or not. You provide with. So provide requires this with, and therefore even D can be ruled out, and the best answer choice turns out to be A. So in some of these other exams, even grammar can be or can act as a very strong connection here. Okay, so that's how. So this is one of those things that you need to keep in mind for OMATs. Here is the next one. So what's your take on this one? So I think two of these options are very easy to eliminate. As a result, you should ideally be focused on the remaining two. So the two that can be ruled out are C and D because they contradict the sentence that comes immediately before, and that basically leaves you with A and B, and thankfully both of them start with for example. So you're looking for something that can support or elaborate upon the idea that is given right before. And B, the Industrial Revolution does not account for nature, will take us beyond the scope of this paragraph, so can be eliminated. It cannot definitely lead to the idea mentioned in the preceding sentence, and therefore the best answer choice for us is option A, which I think a lot of you have actually managed to identify. Yes. So A it is for sure, and with that, let me dive into your next question. Question number 6, here it is. Okay. So I think once again, this is a question where options C and D are easy to eliminate. And if I look at the last line immediately before the blank, it describes the structure of its society and not its characteristics, importance or significance. And that will help us rule out option B as well. And that narrows it down to A for us, which once again I think quite a few of you have managed to hit upon. And here is your next question. Okay. So the answers are rolling in now. Let us see. So I think option B is easy to rule out because it starts with rather. Rather is used to bring in a contradiction. But if you look at the last line immediately before the blank, it does not provide us with a contradiction, and therefore B can be eliminated. Then if I look at C, it talks about unity. It does not even talk about diversity. So it just goes on to define unity for us. But the passage is about finding unity in diversity and not defining both of these things individually. And therefore even C can be ruled out. That leaves us with A and D. So which one of the two would you prefer? I think a lot of you are moving towards A. So if you look at option D, it's an example, it's something that shows the implication of unity in diversity and not why we should accept it, which the last line of the paragraph states. So therefore I'd say that yes, option A indeed is the one which is, or which comes closest to being a continuation for this particular question. Here is the next one. This is smaller, this is shorter, and this takes you into the realm of literature, something that we at times get. So let's see. Yes, Vaibhav, absolutely yes. Oh, Madhuparna. Yeah, damn, my team tells me to keep telling it to you guys to like the session, but I partly are A, I forget it, and B, I think I feel that if somebody finds the session useful, they may do that favor, but otherwise it's okay. All I can do is do my job. Feels a little odd to me, but let's see. Yeah, but thank you for the reminder for me in the class. I thought this is going to be an easy one, where the correct answer must be option C. C, C, C. I think it is easy to rule out the rest of them. D is totally, A and D are very far off. B, apparition is another term for a ghost or a ghost-like entity. Now, money was not like an apparition. Okay, therefore C. And as usual, I told you that I often do not ask vocabulary based questions in these classes. There's just one off topic question which you will find relevant for these other exams, and here that is, you have a sentence with a blank. Your job is to fill it up with the right phrasal verb or the right idiomatic expression, whichever way you choose it, and your time starts now. Okay, So the correct answer for question number 9 is option D. Looking over your shoulder is the correct form. Its meaning is to look over your shoulder is to worry or think about the possibility that something bad might happen to you, and therefore you are exercising that caution. So therefore the answer is D, and that concludes the questions that I have brought for you in this session. If you want to work even more closely with me and the rest of our team here, you can join our very exhaustive CAT 24 program, where you can, in fact, don't take my word for it. You can experience it for 3 days and then take a call. It has produced stellar results in the past. And in case you are done with the CAT, you're just focusing on the upcoming exams, especially Maharashtra CET, then we have launched a dedicated crash course for Maharashtra CET, which gives you 55 plus live classes covering all those things which are unique or special about Maharashtra CET or which get asked a lot in Maharashtra CET. Additionally, Maharashtra CET also shares its DNA with exams like SNAP and NMAT. So around 50 odd classes that we had conducted for SNAP and NMAT, which are also relevant for Maharashtra CET, you'd get a recording of those live classes, plus more than 250 video lectures that essentially supply you with the foundation. On top of that, 12 mocks, that's as good as it gets. 12 mocks and 3,500 practice questions. So all of this can be yours for a mouth-watering price. So if you're targeting Maharashtra CET, you should definitely check this out. And once again, you can fill a CAT counseling form to know more about any of these programs, or in general to go through, if you want us to go through your strategy and suggest changes in that. Okay, so that's it from me today. I look forward to meeting you in the next class, which is tomorrow. Until then, stay safe, stay focused, stay in touch. I'll see you in the next one then. Have a nice Saturday.